So, welcome to a new website I'm calling Legionella Risk Assessment Register.com. I've been an assessor of compliance certificates for a number of years now. I've produced energy performance certificates, PAT testing certificates, commercial EPCs, SAP calculations, new build EPCs and Legionella risk assessments. Having been an assessor for a number of years now, I've lodged approximately 14,000 compliance certificates, dating back to when I first started in 2014, some 12 years ago. And it got me to thinking, would it be good to set up my own accreditation bodies for each of these fields? And that is my long-term plan, is to have an accreditation body of my own for each of these fields, as I believe there's a lot more money in that than being an assessor. So I'm starting with Legionella risk assessments, just to try the concept. I was a coder in a previous life, so I know a little bit about programming. It's been a number of years, it's been about 10 years since I coded anything, but I'm still fluent in a language called PHP. So I've tried to build this website in PHP. So if we start by looking at the generic layout of the site, the home page is just a generic publicly accessible page, like any home page, which gives a sort of idea of what the site does. Basic menu items, got a logout button, self-explanatory. I don't really need to explain to you what a logout button does. Login button, again, I'm pretty sure I don't need to explain to you what a login button does. There's not a registration page because, you know, with an accreditation body, a member of the public wouldn't just go to a registration page, publicly accessible registration page and register. The general way it works with accreditation bodies is you apply to become a member. For example, Elmhurst, an EPC accreditation body, they don't have a registration page where a member of the public can go and register with Elmhurst. You've got to apply to be a member and prove your basic competence to become a member. So, you know, it's self-explanatory why an accreditation body wouldn't need a registration page. So the next page is the members area, and this is a page where a member would log in order to create a certificate and lodge it with the website. I'm already logged in. Don't worry about the WordPress banner you see at the top. That's only appearing because I'm the administration for this site. A normal member logging in wouldn't see that banner or have these options. So let's go to the members page and see what lodging a Legionella risk assessment with this website involves. So I'm now on the members page. Members page starts off basic. It welcomes you by your username, gives a sort of generic message which explains what you do on the page, lists all the member information and the date, how long the member's been a member for. I've been building this website for a number of years, hence the 2023 timestamp. So yeah, it's been ongoing for the last sort of 3 years, but I think I'm at a stage now where I'm ready to take it to market and sort of test it out. I've done a lot of testing on it over the last couple of years. So yeah, so there's two main things you do on the page. You can look at your previously lodged certificates or create a new certificate. So let's look at the ones previously lodged first. And it just lists all the certificates that have been lodged as a file name on the server, gives a timestamp of when it was lodged, and gives three main functions: download, edit, or copy. Now, where I think a lot of accreditation bodies fail at the minute is take EPCs, for example. A client might come to you with a mistake that they've found in an EPC that you did 6 months prior. Now, if you're someone like myself who lodges an average of 2,000 certificates per year, trying to remember a certificate that you did 6 months prior, or a mistake for that matter, in a certificate that you did 6 months prior, is quite difficult, because in that 6 month period you might have lodged 1,000 certificates, and trying to remember a property that you saw 1,000 properties ago is a bit of a challenge. So when you're editing a mistake that a client's observed in a certificate, it's better not to create a new certificate from scratch, but just edit the current certificate. With an EPC, and correct me if I'm wrong, but for every accreditation, every EPC accreditation body, if you want to edit a mistake in a certificate that you did 6 months prior, you've got to create a new certificate from scratch. And that might not be an issue if it's a recent certificate, i.e. one you did a couple of weeks ago, but it's certainly an issue if it's one that you did 6 months ago. Because how are you going to remember, out of all the properties you've done in that 6 months? It's difficult. So rather than start a new certificate from scratch, it's a lot better if you can edit the previous certificate. So let's have a look and see if we can do that. So let's take the certificate for 4 Noble Place in Hoyok that I did on the 12th of June, which was less than 2 weeks ago, so it's not that old. Rather than start a new certificate from scratch, we have an edit function. So we click on edit. All the data entries are stored in a SQL database, so we can edit them. PHP has the ability to call up all those data entries, no matter how old they are, which is a really nice function in PHP. It was sort of designed to talk to SQL databases, so yeah, this helps. So for example, let's say this certificate that I did 2 weeks ago, the clients contacted me and said, you've put the number of cold water outlets as 2, it should be 3. So we go in and we change the number of cold water outlets from 2 to 3. And we go back down and we create an updated certificate. And we wait on the little spinning circle. One downside to the website so far is it is taking about 25 seconds to generate a certificate. I am working on improving that. There's various workarounds I can do for that, and I am in the process of sort of sorting that out. So it's created the updated certificate. It's given me a message to say that it's emailed the certificate to the assessor at the email address provided, and it's emailed it to the client automatically at the email address I've provided. And I can download this updated certificate. There's the updated certificate there. And I can also click on the verification link. It's just a link that verifies it's a valid certificate on our register. And if I go back, I can see the certificate's also got a QR code to also verify the certificate. If you scan that QR code with your phone, it also validates the certificate. The certificate itself is just a standard Legionella risk assessment. It's got your basic information, your tank information, your cold water outlet information, your hot water outlet information, showers and dead legs information, and a sort of overall notes and recommendation, and a good practice guide at the end, with the QR code to verify the certificate's genuine. So back on the members area, if we go back to view lodge certificates, another thing about present day accreditation bodies that frustrate me is the ability to copy certificates. Why this is relevant is, say you have a block of flats and each flat is identical. Same wall construction, same window construction, same heating system, same electrical and gas meters, and you've been given the contract to do compliance certificates for this block of flats. Because each flat's the same, rather than start each certificate anew, there's going to be very little difference between each property. It would be good to just copy the certificate from flat 1 and change the address to flat 2. A lot of present day accreditation bodies don't allow you that function. But say, for example, we take this flat for 11 Beatty Court, which is in a block of flats in Hoyok, and we want to do the certificate for 12 Beatty Court. We just simply click copy. We then go to the address and we change the address to 12. And then we'll get an option to create copied certificate. So we click on that. It's doing its thing, it's taking its time. I need to speed up how quickly it's generating the certificate. It's sometimes taking an unacceptable amount of time. It's telling me that it's emailed me the current certificate to the assessor, who whatever email address was put in as the assessor's email has been emailed. The client, whatever email address was put in as the client's email, it's emailed it to them. Certificate's available for download. Again, there's a verification link. I've already sort of shown you how that works. And a button to generate another certificate. And at the top of the table of lodged certificates is the one that we just created, the copied certificate for 12 Beatty Court. Date stamped today, the 21st of June 2026 at 1926. The actual time is 2026, so the date stamp on the lodgement is about an hour behind. The reason for that is that the server I'm renting to run this website exists in another country. I sometimes find renting servers in the UK, USA, or EU for that matter to be a little bit on the pricey side. You can get a much better deal if you rent your server from another country. That's effectively what I've done. And the timestamp that you see here, 1926, will be stamped using the BIOS clock of the server. And because the server's in a different country, the BIOS clock might be at an entirely different time to UK time. There will be a workaround for that. And I will sort of work out how to sort of calibrate the server timestamp to UK time. But you know, that's an issue for another day. It appears at the top of our table because the table of lodged certificates is in chronological order of when they were lodged. And if you're logged in, you'll only be able to see the certificates that you've lodged. You won't be able to see the certificates other people have lodged. That's obviously because of GDPR and other things like that. As you can see for this username, there's been 65 certificates lodged in total, but only 20 appear on the page. The reason, you know, every sort of search engine does this. Google does that, for example. Sometimes if you search a term in Google, there'll be thousands of results, but Google doesn't display 1,000 results per page. They split it down to like between 10 and 20 a page. The reason for that is, you know, if you were to get thousands of results displayed on the same web page, it would use up a lot of cache resources, it would use up a lot of CPU resources, it would use up a lot of RAM resources, and it would make the server hit a bottleneck. It's just not practical. And from the point of view of a compliance certificate assessor, you know, the average assessor might lodge 2,000 certificates per annum, and when you think about it, you don't want 2,000 results appearing on the page. So the best way to do it is to limit it to 20 results a page. And as you can see, there's 65 lodged, so there should be about 3 pages. So if we go to the next page, yep, 20 on that page, 20 on that page, And then the final page, there should be, so that would be 20, 40, 60. So in the final page, there should be 5. Yep, and that's what you're getting there. Cool. You can flick back through the various pages. If you look at this, yeah. And if you want to search, it may be that, it was a certificate a customer's asking you about that you did a long time ago, but you don't particularly know where to find it or when you did it, but you know the street name. For example, here's a dummy certificate I did for Puddle Lane. If you know the street's called Puddle Lane, I know it's just a made up name, but I'm just using this as an example. If there was a street called Puddle Lane, and you knew it was on that street, you can search and it comes up with all the certificates that have been lodged for that street. Cool. Moving on. So back on the members page, we've covered editing certificates and copying certificates. Another sort of function you can do on the members page is create a new certificate from scratch. Just click the create new certificate button, create new assessment button. You'll be taken to here, which is the standard Legionella risk assessment form. I'm not going to go through every data entry on this form because, again, the website's being aimed as an accreditation body for Legionella risk assessors. So, this video is not going to be aimed at, teaching a layperson how to do a Legionella risk assessment. It's simply aimed at basically showing an existing Legionella risk assessor, an existing competent person, how to use this website. So there's no need to give sort of training on every sort of data entry. It'd be a bit silly. So let's make one up. I don't know, let's make up a standard address, 14 Smith Street. Again, as it's a made up address, it's not going to have a real world postcode, so just make one up. There is validation on each of these data entries, just to show you. If I just fill in these first 2 fields and just ignore all the others and click create certificate, it comes straight back to the top and asks you to fix the errors in red and goes through everything that's missing, all the data inputs that are missing one by one. Validation is important, obviously, because it reduces the number of data entry mistakes. Anyone that's in the field of data entry will tell you that validation is really important. Select a date from our calendar. Actually, drop down calendar. Let's make up a name. Let's just make up one. Let's make up these entries. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Again, I'm not really thinking about this, I'm just hammering through the entries, so I'm aware that a lot of them will be wrong. I'm not sort of putting time into thinking about it, just randomly selecting anything. Just to show you what can be done. Again, I'm not really thinking about these results, it's just gibberish that I'm entering. I'm aware that a lot of the things that I'm clicking on are just random and wrong. It's just to show you how the certificate's generated. Then if I click on create certificate, it should, again, got to wait on this little wheel turning. It is taking a little bit of time. There will be things that I can do to speed this up. Maybe a caching layer where PHP is talking to the database. I will work on that. So then it's created this new certificate. So if we download the certificate, I've got the new certificate there. And we can reload the members page, and when we go to reload the members page and view lodge certificates, you'll see there's a certificate we just created there. So I've covered creating a new certificate from scratch on the members page, editing an existing certificate, and copying an existing certificate, as well as the search engine function. So that pretty much encompasses all of the members page. So if I'm moving on, don't really need to cover log out, log in, that's a bit self-explanatory. I've already covered why there's not a registration page. I've covered the members page in its entirety. I've covered the home page in its entirety. I've covered the verify certificate page. Page after that is policies. These are just generic policies that a website would have to operate legally nowadays. It's pretty basic and standard. Register stats is just something that I can access. It's just more of a diagnostics tool to work out, if something's going wrong with the website. And then if I go into assessor profile, this is just kind of like a dating profile, but for a Legionella risk assessor, you'd fill it out with your basic information, your basic info, and things like your qualifications, your experience, a short bio. And when you save that, it updates it on your profile on the website. The reason that's going to become important is if we go into the locations that we cover, is what I've got is 1800 landing pages. The reason the number 1800 is significant is simply because there are 1800 regions in the United Kingdom. What a lot of websites do nowadays for search engine optimization is they have a landing page for each region of the country. The reason that helps with SEO is, if you take the example of a florist, if you had a florist somewhere in a Brough, if someone, your target audience, if you had a florist in a Brough, would be people who were looking to buy flowers in a Brough. And in general, someone who's looking to buy flowers in a Brough would type into a search engine, flowers, a Brough. And if you've got a web page, a URL, which specifically mentions those terms, flowers, a Brough, and your URL distinctly matches the search terms, you'll score quite highly in the search. So that information that's been input by the assessors on the profile becomes relevant here, because say for example a Legionella risk assessor in Alloa contacts our website and wants to become accredited to lodge Legionella risk assessments with us. We would then go to this landing page for Alloa, and the information that he's entered in his assessor's profile, such as his phone number and his email address and his bio, would all be incorporated into this page, and he'd have his own unique 0800 number, his own contact form that would, when the end user filled it out, would contact him, and it would also have a ratings bit where people can submit ratings about his service, and a comment bit where people can leave comments on the service they've received from him. And I think that covers everything about the website apart from the training page. The reason that we've got a training page is every accreditation body in the UK is required to carry out CPD on their users. And what I've put together as a sort of training page is you load it, and when you load it, it comes up with maybe 20 multiple choice questions. When you submit your answers to those questions, the system automatically marks it. And when the system marks it, if you pass it, emails your certificate, and that certificate counts for maybe an hour's CPD. And I think everyone's got to keep up a certain amount of CPD. For example, mine's is 10 hours a year. And it's a way to give our members a free amount of CPD, just to help meet their CPD demands every year. So if we have a quick look at that. So the questions change every time and the text changes every time. It's on an automated system. Depending on the time of day in which users used in, it selects the questions at random. Don't have time to go through all these questions and put an answer in just to show you. So what I'll do is, I think statistically, if you plot the Gaussian distribution, C is the most common answer in a multiple choice test. So we'll just select C for every question. Rather than go through every question and answer them, we'll just select C for everyone. And that absolutely should give us an end result. Alright, so click submit knowledge check. Right, so I've failed that. 2 out of 20, 10%, because I was just guessing, and I'll email the result to say that you failed. Obviously, if you passed, it would email you to give you a certificate. And it would just use the email address that the account was set up with. Okay, so that's pretty much the site. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope you'd be interested in lodging Legionella risk assessments with us. I will log out for now, and thank you for watching.